Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here on the ThinkTech series on a Friday afternoon with the next best thing, and featuring Jen Ohlson, who is the president and founder of the Information Health Technology Company, IHT, out of Austin, Texas. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Thanks for having me, Jay.
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
great to be able to talk about these things with you. So you are an entrepreneur, and you are a founder or co-founder and the president of Information Health Technologies, and out of Austin, and that really, it's I think it's of interest to our entrepreneurs here. We are very focused on building them and giving them an environment in which they can grow and make money and all that, and participate in the sort of the technological wave of the 21st century, and we need to know everything you've done. That's why we're here with you.
Perfect. I'm happy to share it.
So tell us, who you are. I mean, as a person, as somebody who's educated, trained, where have you been? What have you done? What brought you to the point where you felt you could start a company like IHT?
Well, I kind of just feel that, when you really go after what your purpose is in life, and that's kind of what I've always tried to do. I'm an athlete by, I would say, first and foremost. I grew up in Colorado, graduated from high school as literally the most lettered high school athlete in Colorado history. I lettered 15 times in 5 different sports. So
how can you live with yourself?
I don't know. I had no other life. I was just, every moment of my life was about movement. And it was kind of the language that I spoke. I mean, I spoke English, obviously, but really my fluency was in movement and was in health. And every night I went to bed, I thought, how am I going to get my movement tomorrow? And just kind of how I was wired as a kid. And certainly, put that into practice in high school as far as an athlete, went to college and played 2 sports, but really kind of was my own PE program all by myself. And I think always, whenever you have something that you love to do, you always want to share it with others.
What is the state of mind for that, Jen? I mean, is it that you wake up in the morning and say, the high I get, the endorphins, is from, moving and being part of a sort of a tactile, physical kind of world where I can make my body do athletic things, and this gives me pleasure. This is, it's kind of almost like habituating. I'm making this up. You got to tell me if this is real. And because of that, I want to do more of it because it gives me a kind of high, and therefore I want to do as much of it as I possibly can. Is this what we're talking about?
Yeah, I think so. I think each and every one of us has our own unique blueprint for life, our own unique journey, and whether that's felt through music or art or math or science or physical activity. I just happen to be a great athlete. And so that's where I got my joy. And I think for each of us, finding that is really the whole purpose of life. I think, we're on this earth to sort of figure out what can we be great at, what keeps us up at night that, wants us to get up early in the morning, doing it.
I wonder too, I mean, at some point in your life, you looked at the kid next to you and said, I'm a little stronger, faster, more agile than the kid next to me. I make a note of that. And then you look at the kid to your left and a little faster, stronger than that kid too. I'm faster, stronger than all the kids around me. This is my strength. I mean, it's like waking up as Superwoman or something.
Right.
Is that what happened to you? I mean, I know you're not immodest about it. You're stating a fact, but I'd like to know how it sort of came to you that you were in that space.
It's hard to put a finger on it, but I know that is something that brought me incredible joy. And whether I was better or worse than anybody, it's what gave me, really the joy in my life. So much so that I was able to get a scholarship to college. And it just perpetuated itself. I was able to pay for my schooling. And then when I graduated, again, you kind of want to share what really makes you come alive. Martin Luther King had he went to his mentor when he was really trying to figure out how to help the world. He was 21 years old, and he went to Dr. Thurman, his spiritual teacher, and he said, how am I really going to make a difference in this world? And Dr. Thurman said, don't ask what the world needs. Find out what makes you come alive and do that. Because what the world needs is for each and every one of us to come alive. And that's how I really came alive. And so once I graduated from college...
What were your sports in college?
I was a soccer player and I was a heptathlete, which is a 7 sport. The men do the decathlon and the women do the heptathlon. So it's 7 different events put together over 2 days. The greatest heptathlete you might know is Jackie Joyner Kersee. She was in several Olympics. And so that was kind of my sport. And then I played soccer as well. I finished as an All-American at George Mason University in Virginia.
Well, how come we didn't read about you as an Olympic athlete?
Well, I never made it to the Olympics. I finished 7th in the country as a heptathlete, but never really pursued it as far as, you got to be top 3. And I think you sort of have to sort of look at yourself in the mirror of like what you're truly, sit in the fire of your own truth. And I'm not sure if I could truly have made it. So I took a different path beyond that. But I got into sportscasting where I could interview, some of the greatest athletes in the country.
Okay, so you graduated from school.
Right.
And now you have to make some choices about how to spend your time. And what choices did you make?
Well, I got into a job that I didn't want, necessarily, that didn't bring me joy, but it was at a cable station, and I was selling literally cheesy 30-second commercials, that you would, the car commercials and things like that. And but they had a local access channel where we had local shows on, and I picked up a camera one day, and again the magic sort of reinfused itself, much like athletics did. And I picked up that camera and I said, "Oh my God, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to shine the light on the good and tell the story of the good." And that brought me into sportscasting. Took me to the some of the highest levels of in the profession. I was in Dallas, Texas for 5 years, covering the Cowboys and the Stars and the Mavericks, and then eventually came to Austin to be the weekend sports anchor. But kind of found my path, always following my heart of, movement and, pursuing that love of telling the story.
Well, I suppose you wanted to learn about what made them great athletes and what turned them on, and get close to people who were having the kind of experience you were.
Exactly, yeah. And it was interesting to be able to interview everybody from the little leaguer to Emmitt Smith, from the highest levels to the smallest. And there was always this commonality of that same joy that I had as an individual. What I realized over the course of interviewing thousands of people and from all walks of life and all ability levels was, we all have to do it on our own. Like nobody can jump into your vessel and do it for you. Like individuals have to learn how to do it for themselves, or it's just not done. And I think the groundwork of what I'm doing now, trying to teach kids how to take care of themselves through technology, was really laid in the foundation of interviewing all those individuals and sort of understanding, how do we really truly help individuals kind of be the CEOs of their own health, especially kids, as they're coming up in this age.
That's a great notion.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, do more, and then tell us where you got to the point of starting the company.
Sure. So I got out of broadcasting and came down to Austin, Texas. Fell in love with the city. And
what brought you down to Austin, Texas? My niece was taken by Austin for film and South by Southwest, and that took her down, changed her life. How about you?
Oh my God, it's an amazing city. If you haven't been here, you need to. I know Hawaii is incredible. It's like the epitome of awesomeness, but Austin it has everything. It's the capital of Texas. It's surrounded by water. It's very lush. It's everything that you don't think Texas would be. Sort of this little oasis in the middle of the entire state. Yeah. It's very liberal. The University of Texas is here. So you've got 50,000 young minds. You've got the political minds. You've got Willie Nelson living here. You've got Lance Armstrong living here, who's fallen from graces, but great athletic town. And so it really has something for everybody. And when I moved here, I was a sportscaster. I was working for the NBC station as the weekend sports anchor. And we have this trail that runs around Austin. It's just this simple running path. And you always gravitate to what you love. You always want to go with, since I was a new town, I went straight to the trail because that's kind of what I knew was movement and nature and athletics. And I got down there and I got into a little running group with Governor Rick Perry, who's our current governor still today. Mm-hmm. And we started running on the trail together in a little running group. All of a sudden, we'd start passing like Ann Richards, who used to be the former governor of Texas. We'd pass Willie Nelson. We'd pass Lance Armstrong. We'd pass a homeless man. And I asked Governor Perry one day, I said, how did this trail come to be? It's like this great leveler. Everybody's equal. Everybody's matters.
And we had really no idea who built it, but it turns out that Lady Bird Johnson, the former first lady of the United States, she had come back to her hometown, and rather she had done the Beautification Act of America. But when she came back to Austin, when her and Lyndon came back, she kind of looked inside herself and said, "You know what makes me move is nature, and I want to share with the world what I love." And so I ended up doing a coffee table book called Every Town Needs a Trail.
That's
And
great.
it's an amazing book. And I interviewed, 50 people from all walks of life, and everybody from Matthew McConaughey to Willie Nelson to, again, that homeless person to Michael Dell. And I kind of, again, wanted to find out what makes them tick, what makes their passion come alive. And then
So
that
what's
was
the
really
name of the book?
The book is Every Town Needs a Trail.
Okay, and where can I get the book?
You can Google it. It's on Amazon. Everytownneedsatrail.com. And my motto is every coffee table needs my book. So you definitely, everybody listening needs a copy of it. But it was just a beautiful opportunity to springboard to say, okay, gosh, I've done all this research with all these people who are telling me, that purpose is really the gig. It's really why we're here. And so I started Interactive Health Technologies to try and infuse that into students, into young people. So my language happened to be athletics. That was my fluent language that I spoke. But technology is where kids, that's their language. And so I started thinking, like, how can we take, the language of what our kids speak, which is technology, the issues that we have with obesity,
now up to this point, you
diabetes.
really haven't mentioned any background in technology
Sure.
in your life,
Right.
nor have you mentioned any background in business in your life. And how do these
Sure.
things come to you? Because you have to have a synergy of all three in order to do what you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's what I did was I started to bring people around me I had an incredible vision, and I think the best entrepreneurs in the world know what their strengths are, and they bring people around who can really help make that vision become a reality. So I had the vision of how can I tell the story, because what I was an expert in was creating the story for the individual. I did it through sportscasting, I did it through the book. And so I said, how can I use technology to create the story of each individual student and build kind of a personal wellness profile, a personal story from them, from the time they get into kindergarten to the time they graduate, over those 12 years, how can I create that? And then I just started putting in place the people that could make that vision happen. The absolute, and I had this huge heightened responsibility of, we're dealing with kids, we're dealing with schools. So I brought the best developers in. I brought our CEO who, has the business mind. And I started bringing the people around me to create a company that really has become the leading technology company in education as far as physical activity and correlating that to all the other aspects of an individual student.
I wanted to get a handle from you, Jen,
Sure.
on exactly what the market is.
Sure.
We've all heard about childhood diabetes. We've all heard about childhood obesity. We've heard about a
Right.
generation of kids that maybe sits in front of the tube and does sugar all day. And I mean, we had a serious problem, even a crisis in this country, as opposed to other countries where it's not nearly as accentuated. This must have played into your thinking about organizing a company to deal with it. Yeah?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Once I started the company and I was trying to find funding, I wanted to get back to my roots as, a storyteller through video. And so I decided I was going to do my first documentary. And I set out to find one student to kind of share their story about childhood obesity. In Texas, we have a huge problem. We actually have 5 of the heaviest cities in the country right here in Texas. One of them is San Antonio, which is about an hour south of Austin. So I pulled up data of body mass indexes over 40, which is about 100 pounds over your ideal body weight. And I thought I'd get 15 or 20 kids, because that's really heavy to be 100 pounds over your ideal body weight at 6th grade or 7th grade. And I ended up pulling up over 1,000 students. And I had a book. It was about 5 inches thick, and it was 450-pound 6th graders and 360-pound 5th graders. It was page after page of these students on paper that lived in this district. And so I took it to the superintendent and said, listen, I want to start filming this documentary. And he said, in order for me to film that, I really had to help those kids. I didn't have any background in physical education. I mean, I was a coach and an athlete for sure, but I just said, if not me, who? I think each of us and everybody who's listening out there who's an entrepreneur, we have to realize that, gosh, if we don't raise our hand, who's really going to, take the baton and carry the torch, especially when it comes to kids. So I started a curriculum called PE3, which was P for the mind, body, spirit. And I was going to track them with my heart rate monitor technology, but I was really going to infuse a curriculum that worked on emotional well-being, really truly bring together the mind, body, spirit of what, it takes to educate individuals. And so I got a firsthand look. I didn't just know the statistics. I lived and breathed them, through the documentary and developing the course as well. So I actually became an incredible expert on, what these kids are going through and how to, really reach them in the way that really makes sense to them.
Okay, well, we're going to take a short break, Jen, and when we come back, we'll talk about specifically how you did reach them and change their lives. We'll be right back after this short break. That's Jen Ohlson, president and co-founder of Information Health Technologies out of Austin, Texas, where everything is good.
Aloha, my name is Willow Chang Elion, and I host a show called The Art of Life. We air live every Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. And what we do is basically we focus on individuals who create a unique sense of place for Hawaii. These are movers and shakers, artists, innovators. They are also traditionalists. They're all involved in the archival process, and they make this place a unique place, one that makes Hawaii a richer place to be. I hope you do join us, and certainly tell your friends about the show, whether they live here or they live abroad. It's a way to give back to our community. We're keeping it Pono.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here with Jen Ohlson, president and founder of Information Health Technologies in Austin, Texas, where my niece loved it and made movies there. And the movies were successful there. It must be the air, the water, something. Anyway, Jen, you talked about making a video, and we do have a link to the video. And can you describe the video to us, and then we'd like to take a moment and play it.
Okay, sure. Well, I did a documentary. It's called Health Needs a Hero. I think the video that we're going to see is kind of on the overall capabilities of my system, but it really is about how do we use technology to really reach students, and how do we really use technology to refine education overall, and that's kind of what the video shares with you.
Okay, control room, can you run that video so we can see exactly what Jen Ohlson is talking about?
Blood on the ground and I'm still fighting it out.
That's great. It's a real gift to those kids to be together and do healthy things and get some exercise and all. And even if we didn't know exactly what was on those screens and what was motivating them, you can see that there's a benefit involved in the group experience of it, being part of a project, a process, a company, a program that will take them there. So if nothing else, there's a benefit in that. But there's more of a benefit too, because it seems to me, just looking at the video, that they're getting metrics on the matter. They're getting feedback, and it's very objective, cold-hearted, if you will, on exactly what's going on with their bodies. And that will teach them so much, and it will help them so much. But what we really couldn't tell is exactly what are they being asked, what are they being told on the screen, and I guess the smartphone screens that we saw in the movie.
Sure. Well, we basically, people they need to learn it themselves again. So like, unless an individual really truly understands how to do it for themselves, it's just not done. And so what we've done is we try and teach ownership in kids. It's no longer sitting in the bleachers and watching, what's happening on the field. What our program does is it gets everybody onto the field. Everyone is a participant in the process. And we use technology to do that. So we use physical education classes, which everybody has to go to. It's a specific amount of time, and it's completely geared towards teaching kids the foundation of health. Home is always the best place to learn the foundation for health, but school is the most logical. Mm-hmm. So they come into class, they put on a heart rate monitor, which is the most objective way to truly show the health and the fitness of an individual. Fitbits and pedometers and things like that, they'll show you how to move, but a heart rate is truly showing what's going on inside that individual as far as their fitness level. And as soon as they put the monitor on, it starts capturing their heart rate. They go about their workout. As soon as they're done, the information is instantly sent to their phone and computer. It's sent to their parents' phone and computer, so they can be sitting at work, they're at the bank, and an email pops up and it says, "Hey, Jen had a great workout today. Here's how she did in PE class."
Oh, that's great. What a great idea.
Yeah, it's amazing feedback. It's instant feedback, and it's about the individual student. So it's taking that ownership into their own hands, and it's about them. And so it really accelerates the learning process in students.
Well, students, you call them students, but what is exactly the experience of being in this program? Is this part of their school curriculum? Is it outside? And how do you actually do business this way?
Sure. Well, so we sell to schools directly. We are dedicated to schools. There's a lot of companies out there that have successful consumer products, and they try and wedge themselves into a child's way of thinking. We've actually started with kids, and we work for kids, and so we haven't tried to build a consumer product that works for the masses. Like we've truly tried to understand what schools' needs are, their standards, and we sell directly to schools themselves. So districts will purchase our system at a district level or at a school level. Again, we connect to all the stakeholders. So the data that comes up is not just the individual data, it rolls all the way up to the district level or even the state level or the national level. So we work even with state level or national level agencies and say, hey, here's this aggregate data of what's really happening within our schools, truly trying to validate physical education within our school systems and within the educational day.
Well, how do you deal with the question of privacy? Because you're talking about heart rate and the like, and it sounds like a HIPAA question.
Sure.
And it sounds like something that some parents may treat as confidential or want to treat as confidential. I can see an issue on that. How do you deal with that?
Well, we work with the schools. The data is 100% owned by the school district, so we don't own the data. We have no control over it. And again, we're not taking the data and making any sort of judgment or we're basically just capturing the day-to-day effort. Our teachers get paid to get kids moving in physical education and to teach them. And so what we've built is an accountability system for the students primarily of how do we take accountability and personal responsibility of health. But then we're also able to see, are our teachers getting our students moving? But from a privacy standpoint, that was one of our biggest concerns of being able to make sure that this is individual for the student and that the information is owned by the district themselves. So we work very closely at the district level on that aspect.
Well, is the district level, or the teachers in that district, they have access. I mean, assume I'm a kid, I'm 8 years old, and assume I just took a test of some kind, and assume, my heart rate demonstrated some problem. Now, who has access to that information?
The teacher does, and the student and the parent. So they'll sign off and have that data information. The individual teacher is really, working with that student on a one-to-one basis. And we actually have had this in quite a few cases where they'll be wearing our system. There may be some irregularities, and the parent will say, "Okay, I not only want to get the email after class, could we send it to the student's doctor?" And so we have a lot of doctors who can be opted in, to make sure that student, what that irregularity is. We are not a health product. We are truly classified as a fitness product. Right. We're not trying to, work in HIPAA or FERPA constituents, but schools can see that data and help get some other stakeholders involved using our data.
So you talk about schools and teachers. You talk about, having the program operate within the school and all this, but that sounds like there's more here than just software. There's a whole program about how you implement the software, you bring it to the kids, you have a whole bunch of people, operate within a program that uses the software. How do they get trained? I mean, who is responsible for making all that happen? Is it you? Do you send trainers out? Do you teach people how to use it? Or do they figure it out themselves? How does that work?
Well, we've literally developed the simplest, most robust system on the market today. And one of the things that when I was interviewing everyone about how to develop this company was, first of all, teachers don't have any time. They have limited resources, especially in physical education and our electives, so there's no money. So they have little resources. They're almost on an island of themselves. So we had to create something that was so simple. Literally, they can turn on the computer. The students put the heart rate monitor. It starts working without any buttons. As soon as they take it off, it stops. The data is instantly uploaded. So we tried to make all the things that make teachers crazy. We tried to eliminate as many of those things as possible, because they just don't have time to ask the questions of why isn't it working and how does it work. We've developed a system that's literally, whether you're 6 or 60, you could use our system. So it's an incredibly simple system that takes maybe 30 minutes to learn. And that was part of the process. Is it's not what you put into technology, it's kind of almost sometimes what you keep out of it.
Good point.
That makes it so valuable.
You have technical support that helps them in a pinch?
Absolutely, yeah. We pride ourselves on customer support, and we build partnerships for life. So a lot of companies out there, they sell products, like you said, widgets, and once the sale's over, you never see the customer again. And we truly try and build partnerships because we want to see the success of that school from the first day to the second decade. And that's really it's very hard to stay committed to that. But it's what our passion is, to make sure that we're completely, truly being superior customer service for our clients.
Oh, I have so many questions I want to ask you about how you developed this and exactly how it works and how you've distributed it. But let's take a short break and come back, and we can go much further with this, Jen. Jen Ohlson, President and co-founder of Information Health Technologies in Austin, Texas. Here we are on the Next Best Thing, part of the ThinkTech radio television series. And we are calling this show Tech Fitness for Kids. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Martin Despang, and I'm the host together with the one and only Ali Amashta, and our show is called Urban Transcendence. And Urban Transcendence is about identifying where we have a unique situation of a vibrant city in one of the most beautiful natural environments. So how these two can coincide, sometimes conflict, how they could find reciprocity in the 21st century is what we're excited about. And we're planning on bringing in a diverse body of guests, both from the arts and the science and the established and the wise and the emerging generation. So hope you will join us. We'll always be on Thursdays from 1 to 2 p.m.
Okay, we're back. We're live here on a Friday afternoon on the Next Best Thing, part of the ThinkTech series, talking about teaching fitness for kids with Jen Ohlson, who is the president and founder of Information Health Technologies, IHT, in Austin, Texas. and we learned a lot about how you do this, but we are not yet finished. There's a way to go in our exploration here. So Jen, exactly what is the system that you're selling constitute? I take it from the movie that it's software. Software will play on a computer and on a smartphone, but it's also got to be some kind of reader devices, sensors, what have you, that connect up to that. So tell us how it works.
Sure. So it's just a simple heart rate monitor, and if you guys are watching on the video, I'm holding up our heart rate monitor. It's just a basic heart rate monitor. The real value of our system is in the software, as you mentioned, Jay. And once the student puts on the monitor, it's a digital wireless device. They put it on, they take it off, and the data just literally, it knows that Jen's wearing monitor number 11, in period 1. So the teachers basically set up their classes and their groups through the software, and they assign monitor numbers to the individual students. You only need as many monitors as your largest class. So if a PE teacher has 35 kids in their class, but they teach 6 classes during the day, they would need 35 monitors, and then monitor 1 would be worn by me, period 1, by Jay, period 2. Mm-hmm. So the monitor just kind of moves throughout the day. Can also be used with athletic teams or teacher wellness programs, however you want to use the monitors. But literally the data just captures, and then digitally, once the monitors finish from class, there's a reader that basically the students just tap onto, and the data instantly uploads into that student's personal wellness profile and captures it for the day.
Okay, and the school owns it, not the kid.
Yeah, the school owns it, but they can send it home for the weekend. It can travel, like if they wanted to start in Hawaii and come to Austin with it, they could take the monitor, to Austin for South by Southwest, bring it back. All the data is stored in the monitor itself, and so it's perfect for sending home for weekend homework or for extracurricular, going out for a 5-mile run and coming back to the school, with it on.
Okay. Now, the other thing is parents. We're making a movie right now about a certain area of Hawaii, which has interesting challenges in it. And we have found that the Department of Education has found that they have really got to teach parents, get parents involved in the process, or it really won't work. I'm not sure it's the same thing here, but I imagine that if you want to have these kids really committed, you got to get their parents committed. And am I right about that? And if so, how exactly do you get their parents committed?
Sure. That's the $1 million question, because the parents need to be educated just as much. And sometimes, students don't have that support at home. And so the schools really do need to jump in. And that's what we found, through our PE3 curriculum. We really built a strategy using the technology, because we have the ability, and then we have the responsibility. We have the ability to connect to all stakeholders. Then we have the responsibility as a company to say, okay, how do we truly educate this parent? Whether you're living in Oahu or Austin or Afghanistan, every single parent has the exact same need and want for their child. Every single one of us as a humanity want our kids to have a better life than we've had. And so what we've done through our program is we've kind of reached out with the olive branch with our schools and said, hey, we want to work with the parents. So we develop communications right from the start of getting the parents involved, letting them know how we're going to support their student. And, time and time again, the parents are almost thankful for having somebody be in support of helping that student, especially if they're very off track as far as their health and their weight and their fitness. We have had incredible success with our program, to the tune of our program was so successful, the state of Texas, our Texas Education Agency, actually made our curriculum an official PE curriculum for all high schools in Texas. So PE3 is now an official curriculum, and we've aligned that to national standards, and it's being used in 25 states across the country right now. But it's more of a sensitive approach of how do we, first of all, connect to parents, and then how do we make the student the health promoter in their lives. Our hope is if the student becomes the health promoter in their lives, they'll then become the health promoter in their families' lives as well.
Sure. Well, you said high schools, but what about the elementary schools, the junior high school, middle school? Are you reaching to those schools as well?
Yeah, obviously we've got to start as young as possible, and we built the curriculum that got approved for high school, but then we've since aligned it for middle schools and elementary as well. Our technology is used from K through 12th grade, but we just kind of got our start with the high school kids, with our program and getting it approved as a statewide course.
Well, that would be the natural start, I think. But how do you get a school enlisted? I mean, is it just a matter of sales? You go out there and meet with the principal, what have you, or the school district board, and you show them the product, tell them about it, and they say, okay, we'll take X units for this school and X units for that school. Is that what happens?
That's exactly what happens, and it's really built like health is a local. As much as we want to make health a national issue, when it truly comes down to it, healthcare and health is a local issue. Education is a local issue, and every school does it different. Every community does it different, and so what we do is we go into every single community and look at what works in Minnesota doesn't work in Miami and doesn't work in Hawaii. So we really work with each district and customize our program to fit their needs, not try and wedge our product into, we fit their needs, they don't fit ours, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, but you open an interesting question. Are there some kinds of, areas in the country, some kind of communities that are more likely to get into your program, to get into this kind of fitness for kids than others? And what are the characteristics of a likely candidate, somebody, some school district, some area that would be likely to take it more than others?
It comes down to champions, and where we try and find those champions that are at the school districts, the teachers of the years, or those individuals who are saying health, because physical education and health have kind of taken a backseat to math, reading, science, even the arts. And so it's hard to get noticed as a physical education program. And so we try and align ourselves with teachers who are truly making a difference, that, seek us, or that have, a real passion for bringing our program to them. And with doing that, we're able to get into one school, and then another school hears about it, and then pretty soon it sort of sprouts across a region.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, what about the success of it? You mentioned before that this was successful in many school districts, and that takes you to word of mouth. But what is success? Is success where you have better heart rates? You have a reduction of obesity and diabetes. You have more athletic kids. You have kids now who are going to dedicate their lives, as you have, to fitness. I mean, how do you measure that?
Yeah, I mean that's the key. Is the whole goal is, how do we teach our young people to a nation, as taxpayers, as society, as a military, looking for fit individuals to defend our borders. I think every single American has to understand that if we don't keep our future workforce, and our future military, and our future healthcare costs down, we're sort of in for a tsunami to happen as far as the costs and the consequences to this country and to this world. The solution is to teach those individuals at a young age of how to move today, and find a love for movement today, so that they can have a love for movement for life. And our success has, we feel like we have a great formula. We were just awarded the 2014 most innovative technology in the country by the American Heart Association. Basically, the Heart Association said we have the best technology to improve cardiovascular fitness and reduce cardiovascular disease, which is the #1 killer in America. And we've basically been in business for about 2.5, 3 years. We're now in 25 states and hundreds of schools and tens of thousands of students across the country. And so we're really proud of the effort we made and the difference that we're making in schools and with kids.
Well, that's powerful stuff. Let's take one last break, Jen. This is Jen Ohlson, president and co-founder of Information Health Technologies, IHT, out of Austin, Texas, here on the Next Best Thing in the ThinkTech Hawaii series. And we're calling this discussion Tech Fitness for Kids. We'll be right back, Jen, where I'd like to ask you about exactly how this has resulted in economic success for the company, your investment and your returns. We'll be right back.
I'm Hong Jiang, host for Asia in Review on Tuesdays.
And I'm David Day, host for Asian Review on Thursdays. Both of us broadcast our respective shows at 4 p.m.
And my topics tend to deal with questions related to environment, culture, history, and sometimes human rights.
And my shows tend to be on international business, foreign policy, geopolitics, and national security. And you can watch our shows live on the ThinkTech website at thinktechhawaii.com.
And you can also watch us on YouTube or Olalo.
So come join us on Thursdays at 4 p.m. I'm David Day.
And on Tuesdays at 4 p.m., I'm Hong Jiang.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here on the Next Best Thing, talking about tech fitness for kids with Jen Ohlson, who joins us by Skype from Austin, Texas. She's the president and co-founder of Information Health Technologies, which is a health and fitness program, high tech for kids. So I guess I'd ask you, in the development of the company, what kind of challenges come to mind? Have you had any, issues that you worried about, that kept you up at night, that were barriers to the development of the company, Jen?
Well, as an athlete, we never call them barriers. We just call them hurdles in the race. So there's, it's never a brick wall. It's just part of the deal. It's just hurdles, in the race. And so, but there have been hurdles. I think the biggest thing when you're dealing with education is, it's beautiful that every district sort of has its way of doing things, but that's also a huge challenge. And kind of finding out, I think it takes a huge amount of patience. You just can't go into Dick's Sporting Good and purchase our system. It's not just something that can be shelf ready. Like, we truly have to work as almost consultants with school districts and earn the trust. That's a huge challenge, and it takes a huge amount of patience. We just got into the DC public schools. We just got into Dallas public schools, here in Texas, two of the largest school districts in the country. And those were both 6 month to year processes of going on a journey of making it from literally seed to supermarket, of being able to take our system from showing it to convincing the administrators that this is the system that they're going to go with. So I think that's sort of the challenge of being able to, very few entrepreneurs can be as patient as companies that deal in education can be. It takes a certain mindset to want to be really committed to that. Mm-hmm. And then again, the privacy. As incredible as information is, we've seen over the last few months, from the NSA to the Target breach, information is vulnerable, and it's got everybody on high alert. I'm putting my data into Bank of America or to Walmart, and how do I really know who's seeing that? And so I think for everyone, capturing that data and having it be a huge priority of the privacy of that data is a huge responsibility on our part as a company, and something we're always cognizant of how do we truly talk to districts about capturing this data on individual students, especially young people.
What characteristics, would you say that an entrepreneur has to have, and that you have, in order to surmount all these hurdles? What sort of state of mind would you recommend to people in similar circumstance, business-wise?
Well, I think in today's day and age, just as you mentioned earlier in the show, I think today's entrepreneur, you have to be committed to social change. It no longer is just creating a project, take what you can get, screw the rest, kind of the mindset of the 80s and the 90s. Today's entrepreneur is really about how can I really make not just money, but how can I make a difference in the world? And I don't think unless you have that combination, it's very difficult to survive in today's marketplace. So when you start a business, it's not just, I want to, create something and, make a lot of money, but how are you truly going to make a difference in the world? Because really purpose is when the needs of the world and your passion and your purpose come together. Therein lies your vocation. Therein lies the purpose of why you're here. And so I think of it as an entrepreneur, you have to have that purpose and the needs of the world come together to be successful in today's day and age.
Yes, absolutely. So how many staff members do you have? I mean, how many staff and how many contractors do you have to create the software, maintain the software, do the sales, marketing, what have you, do the product support? Whatever it takes. How large is your organization?
Our organization is about 7 individuals full-time, and that includes trainers, we have an outside software development team that doesn't include our software development team. They're a third-party company that we've partnered with. But our full-time sales staff, our director of education, our CEO, our operations manager, and we we kind of feel that we've got an incredible team. We've brought the best and brightest around. Again, I've got great strengths, but I think what makes a great company is when you can bring people that are smarter than you into the organization and do their job. And we've really been able to click on all cylinders. Again, we've grown in just 2 years, from one school to hundreds of schools across the country in 25 states. And we're building partnerships that are meaningful with really large organizations that can help us. The future's bright for us. It's
How are you all located in Austin, or are you spread around the country?
Yeah, we're spread around. Our director of education is in Iowa. We've got salespeople in Dallas and Boston, Wisconsin, all across the country. And mainly our, 3 of our individuals are here in Austin, our CEO, myself, and our operations director.
And is there any chance, do you see in the future any possibility that you'll be selling outside the country?
Oh, absolutely. We're just about ready to, hit that bridge. I think you have to, feed the baby when it grows. And I think a lot of organizations, you want to grow too fast, and and we've really, been committed to saying, hey, let's just, as the baby grows, we'll feed it as it grows. And, do what we do really well and get that right. And then let's look at expanding out. But we're at a point now where we've built a great foundation, and we're looking for a great scalability in the next couple of years, including into Hawaii. So if anyone's listening.
We heard that. We all heard that.
Right.
So I guess, and how do you do that in terms of capital? Did you need, what capital did you need to get rolling? What capital do you need now? What capital do you need in the future? And how are you going to get that capital?
Well, we were lucky that I wasn't able to get any funding for about a year and a half. And so all I could really do was just listen, and I could sort of build the system on paper. And it worked so well on paper because I had so much time to build it that once I did get my funding, which came from my CEO, and we're co-partners in the organization, it was really just about building the car and then adding gas to it. We're really proud of the fact that we've built our company as the leading assessment technology in the educational market with less than $1 million of seed money. We are cash positive immediately and looking to be profitable this year as well.
So you're not profitable yet, but you're looking to be profitable. But what, by calendar year end?
Yeah, we follow the school year, so May. We follow the end of this school year, which is just in a few weeks here. So we've had an incredible spring this year, and after all the development and everything that we've put into our software and our technology development, it's been a fun ride.
Sounds like it for sure. You mentioned that you see yourself as the top contender in the area, but that suggests there are others. And I wonder how the competition is and how close they are behind you. Do you feel the hot breath of anybody who is doing the same thing?
Honestly, there's not really a competitor in our market. There's heart rate monitor companies out there that are in education, but they're just heart rate. They're just one-dimensional. There's software out there that does assessment, but they're just software. There's curriculum out there that gives you curriculum. But what we've been able to do is develop the only integrated system that's heart rate, hardware, software, curriculum, and support. And so integrating those all together, we kind of stand alone in that area. I hope people don't figure it out, anytime soon. But we certainly have developed something that's unique for schools that kind of answers a lot of their questions that they have.
Well, in the same vein, I hope this doesn't run against your need to be, a true competitor, because competition comes from sports anyway, doesn't it?
Right.
But, here we are in Hawaii, and we're very conscious, I told you before the show, of entrepreneurship, raising money, and finding a way to export intellectual property. It's really important for us in order to diversify our economy. We've been trying to do that for a long time. Some say we've had some modest success, but maybe not as much as we wanted. And so we're always looking for advice, Jen. And for a person like you, that would be important. And I wonder if you could speak for a moment to the young entrepreneurs who would like to, start up information technology companies on a shoestring and bring them wide in the state and wide in the country, sort of the way you have. What's your advice, if you're willing to give advice? What's your advice to them here in Hawaii?
Well, just kind of restating that, finding something that makes you come alive, as Martin Luther King's a teacher told him, making something that gives purpose to the world, that solves a need. I mean, that is a problem solver. If you can come up with a technology advancement that is a problem solver for the world, you're going to be successful. And if you can back that with passion and love and following your heart in that, technology it really can streamline so many different things. So you don't need a lot of money to get started, I don't think. You just need to have the vision to make it happen, and something that is, again, solving the problem of solving the problems of the world. And I always go back to following your heart. No matter what happens, above all, it's not about the money. It's not about how much you're going to get acquired for. It really comes down to, at the end of the day, are you happy with what you're doing, and does it give you joy in your life?
I hope they're listening. Not only listening, but I hope they take that advice. They'll be happier, and we'll all be happier with a generation that conducts itself that way. And the glass, I don't have to tell you this, the glass is always half full.
Always. Yes, it is. And it's, your results will be much greater that way, I can guarantee you. I'm living proof of it.
Yes, you are. Jen Ohlson, president and co-founder of Information Health Technologies, a lovely company in Austin, Texas, IHT, here on the next best thing, tech fitness for kids. Thank you so much, Jen.
Thanks, Jay. I really appreciate it.
Aloha. We're waiting to see you come out here.